All right, California, one of 14 states up for grabs during today's Super Tuesday elections. Yahoo Finance's Melody Hahm is in Los Angeles with the latest. Melody, voting well underway across the country. What's the scene like out there in California?
Yeah, Miles, I mean, I'm on the campus of UCLA, so of course procrastination has to be part of the picture when students are involved. It's actually really crazy, the lines that have really gathered throughout the day. Voting did start at 7 a.m. local time here. We'll go through 8 p.m. Pacific, but actually the organizer here, the head volunteer, said that he anticipates that doors may be open past midnight because they essentially have to let anyone who stands in line starting at 8 p.m. to go through. Judging by the fate of this line, the students are looking to kind of cut class, I think, because they have been steadily coming out throughout the day. At first, the lines were outside, but because it's Los Angeles, the weather was a little bit too hot, and folks were then shuffled indoors to this auditorium inside. I would say the average student is waiting about 2 hours to cast their ballots, many of them for the first time. As you can see behind me, there are about 35 actual individual voting booths here, but I do want to point out that about half of them are actually not being utilized because of some technical glitches. Overall, the process has been smooth, but the check-in has been a little bit bottlenecked because there are only 4 people checking in this whole swath of folks. Of course, LA County had started voting starting on February 22nd, so a lot of the volunteers are expressing a little bit of frustration with the fact that, you know, these students live on campus, many of them are here every day, but they chose to come today. Overall, though, I spoke with California Secretary of State, Alex Padilla, who said he doesn't really care when people are voting as long as they cast their ballots.
And you also had a chance to speak with Democratic strategist Doug Herman about the 2020 election. What does he think voters are going to be most concerned about during this cycle?
Yeah, Miles, it's interesting because Doug was actually really instrumental in both the 2008 and 2012 campaigns for Barack Obama, and he has a really interesting pulse, especially on the West Coast. He heads up a strategy office here and has been working over the last 2 decades on getting progressive candidates in office. I had a really interesting conversation with him about big tech and its presence in California. Many of the times it is a nuanced and mixed picture on how people feel about being the root and the epicenter for a lot of innovation, but at the same time, a lot of inequality.
I think that what people are concerned about with Facebook and Twitter is that they're aiding and abetting these kinds of things rather than stopping and policing them. And I think that has hurt them. I think people are definitely concerned about their privacy. The way that Facebook was used in the 2016 election and the Cambridge Analytica scandal was a problem. And I think it woke people up as to how their data was being used. And it also happened in the same kind of time frame that the tampering was going on. So I think the linkage between the two and the fact that it was occurring on these big platforms is of great concern to Californians, both as California residents and as citizens of the country. And Facebook and Twitter and the social media sites have a huge obligation to step up their role in policing that and preventing it.
So Doug really highlights and illuminates the contradiction, right, that a lot of people still want to get tech jobs. Even throughout the day, I spoke with a lot of graduating folks who want to be in the tech industry, who want to move to Silicon Valley, and of course there's Silicon Beach right down the street from here. As entrepreneurship and investment dollars have really poured in to even the LA area, I think there is a bit of hypocrisy, perhaps, when people are thinking about who they want to vote for, but they don't really want to double down on Elizabeth Warren's stance on breaking up big tech or even reversing previous acquisitions in the past. So in general, all candidates have been spoken about at length, except Mike Bloomberg. There hasn't been one student or faculty member that I've spoken with who is actually casting their ballot for him.
Melody, another Los Angeles story is this power outage. Just curious because I've lived in California before, and sometimes the people in New York get the story totally wrong, and it seems like a much bigger deal. So I want you to set the record straight. Exactly what happened? LAX lost power? Was it more of LA?
Yeah, setting the record straight, Jen. Thank you for that. 15 to 20-minute power outage at LAX at select terminals, as well as part of West Los Angeles, including actually an area that I live in, Culver City. So there were traffic lights that were out. The power was out for about 15 to 20 minutes. The California Secretary of State, Alex Padilla, whom I mentioned before, he did release a statement to us saying that investigators are looking into it, but overall power is restored. I want to note that this location was not affected at all, but the voting booth in in LAX was affected briefly for about 4 minutes, according to reports.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.